then were written as a transcription and evidence of how the past went through. Hundreds of questions up until now that keep us wondering. The life of the Filipinos back then was filled with harmony and peace. Not up until the Spaniards came in and invaded its harmony and peace. The encomienda system, where the Filipinos are being slaves in their own land, rented their own properties, and paid taxes for them. The Constitution arose, which is a set of fundamental principles, or established precedent according to which a state or the organization is governed. It symbolizes the country's freedom and independence. November 1, year 1897. The first republic in the Philippines was established, called the Republic of Biak na Bato, 1897. November 1, 1897. Emilio Aguinaldo and other revolutionaries established the Constitution of Biak na Bato, known as the Constitution Provisional de la República de Filipinas. That was established during a meeting held at Biak na Bato in the town of San Miguel, Bulacan. This meeting of the Constitution, written by Felix Ferrer and Isabelo R. Tachi, was promulgated by the Katipunan, which acted as the Constitutional Assembly. It was stated in the Constitution the construction of the Filipino Republic itself and the separation of the Philippines from the Spain. But it was ignored, and it took a month because it was dissolved in the peace agreement of the Spain conditions from November 1, 1897 to December 14, 1897. The Republic of Biak na Bato is officially defined by the Constitution as the first republic established in the Philippines by the rebel Emilio Aguinaldo and his fellow members in the Katipunan. The Republic of Biak na Bato, not known as the uprising during the Spanish period. This happened after the election in the Tejeros Convention year 1897, which took place in Cavite on March 22, year 1897, when Aguinaldo's camp lost one after another against the Spaniards. In this convention, Emilio Aguinaldo were elected as president, and Mariano Trias as vice president, elected by the members of the Katipunan. The preamble of the 1897 Constitution of Biak na Bato reads, "The separation of the Philippines from the Spanish monarchy and their formation into an independent state, with its own government called the Philippine Republic. It has been the end sought by the revolution in the existing war. Began on the 24th of August, year 1896, and therefore, in its name and by the power delegated by the Filipino people, in perpetrating faithfully their desires and ambitions, we, the representatives of the revolution, in a meeting at Biak na Bato, November 1st, year 1897, anonymously adopt the following articles for the Constitution of the state. On the other hand, while some of the Filipinos fought for our country's freedom, Emilio Aguinaldo are aiming for republic and constitution. Yet, he had an agreement for a peace constitution against the Spaniards, and the Filipinos called the Pact of Biak na Bato or the Treaty of Biak na Bato. The Republic of Biak na Bato was used an agreement towards the Spaniards, and the Spaniards would not accept the settlement if they were not recognized as republic. The history of the Pact of Biak na Bato is so dark. The agreement because you surrender the Filipino Revolution to the Spanish. What are the terms and conditions that are subject to it? Emilio Aguinaldo asked for the expulsion of the friars and the return of the friar lands to the Filipinos, representation of the Philippines in the Spanish Cortes, freedom of press and of religion, abolition of the government's power to banish Filipinos, equality for all before the law. highlight. The Spaniards paid Emilio Aguinaldo for the amount of 800,000 Mexican pesos. The agreement was to exile Emilio Aguinaldo in Hong Kong to stop war against the Spaniards. The Spaniards settled with Aguinaldo that they will pay him in 3 gifts: 400,000 for Aguinaldo, 200,000 if they will surrender their weapons beyond 700, 200,000 for the declaration of amnesty. The Spaniards agreed to console those who were affected by the war and pay them in the amount of 900,000. Pedro Paterno volunteered as the negotiator between Emilio Aguinaldo troop and the Spaniards. Because of his greed, he asked for more payment than he does. While Aguinaldo's group in Hong Kong with 400,000 Mexican pesos, the people who were left in Biak na Bato was disappointed, for they did not receive anything. Gobernador General Fernando Primo de Vera, who is a Spanish politician, who asked to become a duke in Luzon. The revolution of the people still continued, while the superior people in Hong Kong had an argument. New leaders emerged that continued the revolution and fought places in Central Luzon, Ilocos, Camarines, and Cebu. They did not agree with what happened in the path of Biak na Bato. What did the people of Aguinaldo done while people having a revolution? First, they have their hidden plan. Second, they must have more weapons since a lot of people died. What happened in Biak na Bato turned out that the Spain did not give up their last payment of 200,000 Mexican pesos because the Filipinos did not stop fighting. It happens that the betrayal of both sides. Spaniards did not follow the agreement between the Filipinos. On the other hand, Aguinaldo did not follow also their agreement between the Spaniards. March 19, 1898. Emilio Aguinaldo chose to return to the Philippines abroad to ship America and return to the town of Cavite, and issued an order that he should return, beginning the revolution at midnight on May 30, year 1898. Second stage, the arrival of rebels turned on the Spaniards and returned to Aguinaldo with uniforms and weapons. The uprising of the war was wider. The declaration of the Philippine independence from Spaniards was on June 12, year 1898. Filipinos won the war against the Spaniards with the help of the Americans. After the declaration of Philippine independence, the Malolos Constitution was the first Republican constitution in Asia, written by Felipe Calderon Roca and Felipe Buena Camino. The 1899 Malolos Constitution, or the Political Constitution of 1899, was the basic law of the First Philippine Republic, whose form of government was unitary, semi-presidential constitutional. It was signed into law by the Malolos Congress promulgated on January 21, year 1899. The Malolos Constitution was in operation from January 23, year 1899 to March 23, 1901. The 1899 Malolos Constitution provided for the creation of an assembly of the representatives to act as the legislative body and parliamentary republic. The preamble of the 1899 Malolos Constitution reads, "We, the representatives of the Filipino people, lawfully convened in order to establish justice, provide for common defense, promote the general welfare, and ensure the benefits of liberty, imploring the aid of the sovereign legislator of the universe for the attainment of these ends, have voted, decreed, and sanctioned by the following." Filipinos won the war against the Spaniards with the help of the Americans. But the whole idea of Emilio Aguinaldo thought that he has the side of America. He don't know that the Spain has sold the Philippines to America for the amount of $27 million, which is rooted in the Philippines-American War. From December 10, year 1898 to March 24, year 1934. During these periods, the Philippines was a territory for the United States because of the Treaty of Paris, which was transferred from the Spanish to the United States. The acts passed by the United States Congress, such as the Philippine Organic Act of 1902, Philippine Autonomy Act of 1916, and the Tidings-McDuffie Act of 1934. These were considered as the Philippine constitutions. Philippine Organic Act of 1902 or the Philippine Bill of 1902 first enacted organic law by the U.S. Congress for the Philippines, provided for the recreation of the Philippine Assembly in a bicameral legislature composed of the Philippine Commission and the Philippine Assembly where the law-making power was vested. Philippine Autonomy Act of 1916 or the Jones Law amended the structure of the Philippine government that was provided for the Philippine Bill in 1902, replaced the Philippine Commission with the Senate whose members were voted by the Filipinos. Because of this, the Philippines' first fully elected national legislature came into being. The United States grants the Philippines its independence as soon as a stable government would be established. Emilio Aguinaldo and the members of the Katipunan had the purpose of establishing this constitution for the expulsion of the friars and the return of the friar lands to the Filipinos, representation of the Philippines in the Spanish Cortes, freedom of the press and of religion, abolition of the government's power to banish Filipinos, equality for all before the law. We all wonder about these inquiries. First, is the issue back then, did Aguinaldo sell the revolution? Second, the Biak na Bato was really an act of betrayal to the congregation? Third, is the return of Emilio Aguinaldo to continue the fight is the work of a traitor? Lastly, what is the effect of this on our lives today? The Biak na Bato was the start of the revolution of the Filipino as a one country. If this constitution did not happen, we will not be called the one country Philippines, but a separate country without sovereignty,